Hello, everyone. Welcome back to A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love. Reverend Tomas here. And this is a lot of fun because we're in the very first section of the text of A Course in Miracles here, the principle of miracles, principles, I should say. There are 50 of them, so we're taking them 5 at a time for a total of 10 days. Yeah, yesterday was the first, and I'm doing it this way for a couple of reasons. One, in my experience with this material, which includes a study group that met in person, when we began the text in this way, there was an awful lot of confusion. People, of course, bring their experience, their own experience, everything that has happened to them in this lifetime, to the table, right? In any interaction, your experience is going to go a long way toward what you understand in that moment, how you react, what you feel, right? So there's an awful lot of initial confusion about what miracles are and what they involve and what they mean. And you know what? That only makes sense, doesn't it? That makes a lot of sense because most of us are not conditioned. We're not brought up and taught to think of ourselves as miracle workers, and we're not taught to think about miracles the way this course presents them. Not at all. I certainly wasn't. Were you? I mean, if you were, fantastic. That's wonderful. Most of us were not. But we're taught something else entirely. And, well, when I was growing up in a fundamentalist Christian Sunday school, we didn't really talk about miracles in this way. I only had a vague notion of what a miracle really was. And anyway, as I've documented on here, and will do so again as the occasion arises, none of the adults could answer my questions anyway. Now, this material, A Course in Miracles, did exist, but we're talking the 1980s here, and I was a teenager. I didn't know about it. So it wouldn't be a few decades. It would be gosh, close to 30 years before I picked the course up, which was in 2013. So I had a lot of living to do and experience, which means a lot of forgiveness opportunities. So I'm going 5 paragraphs at a time. And what I want to do each day is hit some of the highlights. Now, quick definition of a miracle: it's a shift, any shift from fear to love, anything at all, no matter how insignificant it may appear to you at the moment. It may seem like nothing to smile at your neighbor and say, "Have a good morning," or "Hello." That may seem like nothing, yet that's just as powerful as moving a mountain with your thought. You know, taking Mount Everest with your thought, picking it up and moving it. It's the same. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. They're all the same. And it makes sense, doesn't it? A miraculous occurrence, a miracle, is a miracle. There's no order or specialness to them. One's not better than another. So the Dalai Lama isn't better than you. Mother Teresa's not better than you. One equals one. Now, these people may appear much more compassionate than you currently find yourself, right? The Dalai Lama, Mother Teresa, when she was here on Earth, apparently. Yet there is no order of difficulty in miracles, which means each of us is a miracle worker if we choose to be. So let's choose to be. Why don't we? All right. Paragraphs 6 through 10. I want to hit some of the highlights here today. Paragraph 6, miracles are natural. They are. It's natural. We aim to, with spiritual practice, develop a habit where miracles become second nature to us, where they are indeed habitual and they just flow out of us. We're in what this course calls miracle mindedness, where we forgive rather than throw another F word out at somebody. We read our news feed and read about political elections, for example, that's coming up here in the United States. So I'm going to use this as an example of the ego at play, running rampant, wild, and at play, sowing division and discord, defining and defending personal territory, savage, winner take all, at all costs, right? This is true anywhere in the world, isn't it? There's nothing special about this particular place. It is the ego running its script, bigger, faster, stronger, always more dramatic. The sound bites, always more intense, always more shocking, always. Miracles are natural. When they don't occur, something has gone wrong. Our natural state is one with God. We're removing the barriers, our blocks to that awareness. That's what we're doing on the spiritual path. So on this path, miracles are very much natural, and they're everyone's right. They're everyone's right. Now, these paragraphs say purification is necessary first. So what do we mean by that? Well, here's what we don't mean by purification is necessary first. It doesn't mean whipping yourself. It doesn't mean making this thing real and punishing it. It doesn't mean making your career real to you or your relationship a thing to you in your mind and punishing yourself because of things that you may be doing or may have done. Some of us even punish ourselves over things that haven't yet arisen. The future's not here, so it doesn't exist. By purification, what's going on here is forgiveness. It's an understanding that is part of true forgiveness. It's an understanding that we're innocent. You're innocent. Your brother is innocent. Each and every one of us is fundamentally innocent. Ideas leave not their source. We've never left our source, and there is no separation of any kind. How, therefore, can one person actually, truly harm one another? There is no other. There's no other. So this takes time sometimes, doesn't it? I mean, you may find yourself listening to this and thinking, yeah, I don't know. I don't know, dude. You sound freaking nuts. I'm not sure I can go along with that. Well, you don't have to. These ideas take time. They take time. Yet here you are. I always say this because it always is true, isn't it? Here you are watching a video about a course in miracles. This is not about another spiritual tradition, is it? It's about a course in miracles. So something has drawn you in to this. Now, it may or may not be the communication mechanism. Again, what you're looking at is a projection on your screen. And that's what it is, isn't it? This is YouTube, after all. So we develop the understanding, which becomes, with practice, a certainty that there is no sin. The Son of God is free and one. So you don't have to make the body real and purify it in order to receive understanding. You don't have to, unless you want to, smudge your entire house. I happen to love sage and creosote. I live in the desert, and these plants grow in abundance. So we have bundles of them, and it smells good. But you don't have to purify anything that appears to be external. What we do is we develop the attitude of forgiveness, which includes the certainty that we have never left our source. And when we're forgiving, which is a miracle, we're forgiving our brother for what he or she did not do, no matter what appears to have happened on the screen. So, in these 5 paragraphs, we're also shown the idea that miracles are an exchange. They are. They reverse the physical laws. Beautiful. Yeah, let's explain this one. This is paragraph 9. This is one that frequently causes some sort of moments. Well, and it makes sense, especially if you're just dropped into this material. Now, even if you've been studying and practicing this for 20 or 30 years, we're always learning. I'm always learning. I know you're aware of the common saying, no one ever learns as much as the teacher. Wow, is that true? That is the truth, isn't it? So even if you've been at this for a long time, we can always learn something else. We're in this process of peeling away the layers, right? Of removing the blocks. Yeah. So, what does it mean when it says that miracles reverse the physical laws? Well, I mean, just the definition, miracle, implies that, well, it's a miracle and it does reverse the physical laws. Here's what this course means by that. A miracle, i.e., forgiveness, brings more love to both the giver and the receiver. Let's take a look at the miracle of smiling at your neighbor and saying hello. Not even good morning. You don't even have to say that. I mean, good morning is 3 syllables. Hello's only 2. So if 2 syllables is all you got in you today, just say hello, right? Let's take this as an example. You're not out anything as the one who smiles and says hello, are you? Your neighbor receives a kind gesture and a kind word. And you are not out anything, are you? It costs nothing for you to smile and say hello. And what is also possible is you may have made that person's day. Perhaps, and you never know, so do it, right? Perhaps that's exactly what they needed. And maybe they have had a crappy day so far, and that lifts their spirits and changes the trajectory of the rest of the day for them. It's quite possible, isn't it? Now, what happens for you, the one that gives that simple, short, kind gesture? You're not out anything, and you do gain in the process. Why? The attitude of forgiveness. Remember, there is no separation of any kind. So when you smile and say hello to your neighbor, Who are you smiling at? And who are you saying hello to? Yourself. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Extend that, can't we? Because your neighbor is yourself. Our mind is projecting all of this, including space and time, which means because our mind has projected all of this, that it's outside of it. We are outside all of the conventions of space and time. This reverses the physical laws. Here in the world, when we give something, we appear to be out something. Let's use the example of giving someone $20. You give someone $20, you no longer have the $20, right? That's the way the world sees it, is an exchange is never equal. It's never between equals, and it's never equal. You give something, you're out something. That is the conventional way the world sees it. In other words, the way we see it when we're identified with the ego. A miracle reverses that principle completely. So, what might you get if you give someone $20? Well, you might feel really wonderfully. You might. That might change the trajectory of your day in ways that you cannot possibly imagine when the gift is given. Also, consider this. There is a very well-known idea from this course: to give and to receive are one in truth. We're always giving to really ourselves. No matter what may appear on the screen, supposedly out there, we're giving to ourselves. Wherever you go, you meet yourself. So, what is the appropriate response when someone issues a call for love? It's to extend it. You're giving love to yourself. There is no separation of any kind. So, lastly, here, paragraph 10. It's not the purpose of a miracle to induce a spectacle. In other words, to make something special of yourself, to hold yourself out as high and mighty, like a circus performer, like a television star or a YouTube star, right? Or a social media star. That's not the correct way to use a miracle. Miracles in their natural state simply flow. We develop the habit of giving them. We develop the habit of receiving them at the same time. Boom. To give and to receive are one in truth. Give, 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 receive, receive, receive. And we see plenty of people in the world and in the spiritual marketplace that do a very sexy and effective job sometimes of touting themselves as a healer of some sort, and perhaps they are quite successful in their own way, right? Or as being able to perform certain feats that defy the law of gravity, and pretty much bragging about it. Now, this is not saying don't market yourself, but the proper use of miracles is to extend love, is to help us awaken. It's not to draw a crowd and say, hey, look how special I am. I may be drawing a crowd, but you know what? It's not this that's drawing the crowd. Doesn't matter if you enjoy looking at the picture, doesn't matter if you enjoy the voice. It's your higher self that's talking to you. What I'm doing here is sharing the Holy Spirit with you. And by default, how can that not draw a crowd? We're all drawn to spirituality at one point or another. Now, of course, there are billions, apparently, of people that are not drawn to it. We all know them. Some of them are in our families, our immediate families. Those people think we're bizarre beyond measure. Woo woo. Oh, yeah. Love that one, right? Woo woo. Nuts. Yeah. So be it. So be it. Right. What people respond to is sometimes something that we're not even consciously aware of, are we? There's just something about the message of this course that continues to pull us in. Perhaps you bought the course book and it has been sitting on your shelf for some time, yet you notice it. You notice it. Up pops a YouTube video. Some dude in Arizona is talking about it, right? An image on your screen. Who's really talking to you? It's you. The Holy Spirit is part of our own mind. This course aims to have us get in touch with it, to connect with our inner teacher. And well, that's what it's all about. All right. So I very much appreciate all of you for being here and for your spiritual practice, your commitment and dedication to it. That's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's amazing. And I would love to hear from you. If you have comments or questions, please feel welcome to leave them. And here's the subscribe button right down here in the corner, the red arrow. I'd love to have you on board here. And we're going to keep going here. We're taking our time during this highly, well, highly rich segment of the text. And it's chapter 1, part 1, Principles of Miracles. We've just looked at the paragraphs 6 through 10. So it's 11 through 15 next. And as you can see, there's a lot to be said about each and every one of them. Incidentally, and we'll wrap up here, every single sentence of this course contains the entire thought system. It is completely holographic in that sense. Every part contains the whole. And you will find, if you've been through it, and if you go through it, if this is your first time, it's entirely consistent. It does not contradict itself. It may appear to in certain places, and then it becomes very clear that it is not contradicting itself at all. At all. Every single sentence contains the entire thought system. And what is that? Well, the summary: nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Thank you. I will talk to all of you very soon.